The strongest people you know didn't become that way by choice. They were dragged through hell, clawed their way back, and learned to laugh in the face of things that would make others crumble. Here's studies have shown that individuals who endure extreme adversity often develop an uncanny resilience, like a muscle torn apart and rebuilt stronger. But here's the kicker. Resilience isn't some noble, glowing superpower. It's messy, it's brutal, and it often comes with a dark sense of humor that scares people. The chosen ones, those who life handpicks to endure the unendurable, know this better than anyone. They're not unbreakable because they're special. They're unbreakable because they've been broken so many times they stopped counting. You think you can shatter them? Good luck. They've been to hell, redecorated the place, and left with a souvenir mug that says, "Nice try." Let's dive into what it really means to be someone who survived the worst and come out on the other side not as a hero, but as a hardened, unshakable force of nature that no one dares underestimate. Number 1. The gift that feels like a curse. Being chosen sounds like a privilege, but for those who wear the label, it often feels like a punishment wrapped in shiny paper. No one asks to be the one who has to bear the burden, fight the battles, or endure the trials. It's not an honor, it's a responsibility thrown on you because no one else wanted to deal with it. Life didn't knock on the door and politely ask. It barged in, tossed a heavy weight on your shoulders and said, "Figure it out." The truth is, being chosen means walking a path most people can't even comprehend. It's lonely, exhausting, and relentless. People romanticize the idea, thinking it comes with glory and admiration. They never see the sleepless nights, the endless second-guessing, or the moments where you want to scream at the universe. Why me? The weight isn't distributed evenly. It's all on you. And here's the kicker. No one claps for the chosen one until they've already survived. Before that, you're just someone in the trenches fighting battles they don't understand. It's a paradox. People envy the strength of the chosen, but never want to live the pain that created it. They think it's all destiny and grandeur, but they don't realize that what makes a chosen one special isn't innate. It's the pressure, the suffering, the sheer force of will it takes to keep going when every bone in your body screams for rest. And maybe, just maybe, if they saw the scars left behind, they'd stop wishing to trade places for the chosen. The role isn't a privilege. It's survival. Hell burns you clean. Not pretty. Surviving hell changes you in ways you never fully understand. It doesn't polish you into something shiny or admirable. It strips you raw. The world loves to glorify survival as if it's some neat, triumphant journey. But the reality is far uglier. Hell doesn't leave you untouched. It burns you down to your foundation, leaving only the parts of you strong enough to withstand the flames. What rises from that isn't something pretty. It's something unyielding. When someone tries to break a person who's already been through hell, they're playing a losing game. You don't shatter the unbreakable. You just give them another opportunity to show how little they care about pain. Hell doesn't just teach you to endure. It changes your relationship with suffering entirely. Pain stops being an enemy and becomes something familiar. Something you've learned to coexist with. It no longer has the power to control you, because it's been your constant companion for far too long. The thing is, hell doesn't make you better in the way people like to believe. It doesn't turn you into some enlightened, untouchable force. It makes you hard, yes, but it also leaves cracks. It makes you sharp. But it's not the kind of sharpness people admire. It's jagged and unapologetic. You come out knowing you're not invincible. But that's the beauty of it. You faced what most people can't even imagine, and you're still here. They think they can hurt you. Let them try. Hell didn't just hurt you. It broke you over and over again until you stopped fearing the break. That's what they don't understand. You don't come back from hell as a fragile survivor. You come back as someone who doesn't flinch anymore. Number 3. Trauma refines perception, not trust. Going through hell sharpens your perception in ways most people can't comprehend. It's not something you consciously develop. It's a survival mechanism born out of necessity. You learn to notice things. Subtle shifts in tone. A glance that lingers too long. A hesitation in someone's voice. You pick up on lies before they're fully formed. And you see motives hidden behind fake smiles. It's like being handed a pair of glasses that reveal the truth about people, whether you want to see it or not. But this heightened awareness doesn't make you more trusting. If anything, it makes you more skeptical, even cynical. When you've been through hell, you know firsthand how deceptive people can be. You've seen the worst they're capable of, and it leaves a mark. You don't take words at face value anymore. Compliments feel like bait. Promises sound hollow. Even kindness makes you pause, wondering what's hidden beneath it. The problem is, this new perception isn't always a blessing. It can be exhausting, constantly reading between the lines, questioning everything. It isolates you, because people don't like being seen so clearly. They want their masks to stay in place. And when you call them out, whether with words or just your presence, it makes them uncomfortable. Still, you wouldn't trade this clarity for ignorance. It's not comforting, but it's real. You know who to keep close and who to avoid. You see people for what they are, not what they pretend to be. That kind of knowledge comes at a price, though you stop expecting much from others. Trust becomes a rare currency, given sparingly and only to those who've earned it. You don't hate people. You just don't believe in their facades anymore. And that in itself is a form of freedom. Number 4. People want the hero, not the cost. Everyone loves the idea of a hero, a beacon of strength, resilience, and hope. But what they don't want to face is the cost of being that person. They cheer for the victories, marvel at the strength and celebrate the success. But they turn away from the shadows that come with it. The sleepless nights, the constant battles, and the weight of carrying everyone else's expectations are things people prefer not to see. Strength doesn't come out of nowhere. It's built from pain, loss, and countless sacrifices. But people don't want to confront that reality. They'd rather believe in the illusion of effortless heroism, a chosen one who rose to greatness without breaking down in the process. The truth is much darker. Every scar tells a story. Every ounce of strength has a price. And every victory carries an unseen weight. And here's the thing. They admire your strength, but they want nothing to do with what created it. They want the hero, not the anger that simmers beneath the surface. They want the inspiration, not the exhaustion that drags at your every step. They want the victories, but not the quiet moments where you question if it's all worth it. People forget that heroes are human. They get tired. They feel pain. They carry anger, grief, and a deep loneliness that comes from standing apart. Being chosen isn't a privilege. It's a relentless fight to survive, while everyone else watches from a distance, cheering when it's convenient and disappearing when it's not. In the end, they don't want the whole truth. They want the story they can applaud, not the messy, painful reality behind it. And that's the most isolating part of all. Resilience is misinterpreted as invincibility. Resilience is one of the most misunderstood qualities a person can have. People see someone who survived hell and immediately assume they're invincible, that nothing can touch them anymore. They mistake resilience for immunity, as if surviving the worst means you'll never feel pain again. But resilience isn't about being untouchable. It's about fighting through the pain, even when you know it could break you. When you've survived once or a dozen times, people think you're unshakable, like some superhero who can handle anything life throws at you. They don't realize that surviving doesn't erase the scars or make the hurt any less real. Every battle leaves a mark. And no matter how strong you are, the weight of it adds up. Resilience isn't an endless resource. It's a choice you make every single day to keep going, even when everything in you wants to stop. What people fail to understand is that resilience comes with a cost. It's exhausting. It means waking up with the same fears and doubts, but choosing to face them anyway. It's not about being fearless or unbreakable. It's about pushing forward, despite the cracks. Yes, you've survived, but that doesn't mean you don't feel the impact of every blow. You bleed like anyone else. You hurt like anyone else. The difference is, you don't let it stop you. The danger in this misunderstanding is that people stop offering help. They assume you don't need it because you've got this. They don't see the silent battles, the moments where you want to crumble but refuse to let yourself. Resilience isn't a shield that deflects everything. It's a decision to keep standing, even when the world keeps knocking you down. It's powerful, yes, but it's not invulnerability, and it never was. Number 6. Hell changes the definition of pain. Surviving hell rewires your entire understanding of pain. What once felt overwhelming now barely registers after facing the kind of agony that breaks people to their core. The everyday slights and stings of life lose their bite. Insults roll off your back. Betrayals feel more like inconveniences. And minor losses don't even warrant a second thought. It's not that these things don't hurt. They just pale in comparison to the relentless, soul-shattering suffering you've already endured. Hell doesn't just test you, it destroys you piece by piece until you're forced to rebuild yourself from the ground up. That kind of pain changes you permanently. It teaches you to distinguish between what's worth your energy and what's not. Words meant to cut you feel like dull blades. Small betrayals are a drop in the ocean compared to the tidal waves you've already survived. People try to provoke a reaction, not realizing they're playing with someone who has already walked through fire and come out the other side. But there's a darker side to this transformation. When ordinary pain becomes meaningless, it can leave you feeling detached. You stop sweating the small stuff, but you also stop connecting to things the way you used to. What once felt significant now seems trivial. And that distance can be isolating. It's hard for others to understand why you don't react, why you don't flinch, why you seem so unbothered by things that would devastate them. Surviving hell doesn't make you immune to pain. It just raises the threshold. What others see as unbearable feels like a whisper to you. But the trade-off is that you carry the weight of a different kind of pain. One that most people will never understand, and that you wouldn't wish on anyone else. Society fears what it can't break. Society thrives on predictability. It likes people who follow the rules, fit into neat boxes and react in expected ways. But someone who's been to hell doesn't play by those rules. They've seen too much, endured too much, and lost too much to care about societal norms. That kind of unpredictability is terrifying to those who rely on control and conformity. The chosen are dangerous not because they're violent or reckless, but because they can't be manipulated the way others can. A person who has survived hell doesn't react to fear the same way. You can't intimidate them with threats. They've faced worse. You can't bribe them with comfort. They've learned to survive without it. And you certainly can't break them. They've already been broken and rebuilt themselves stronger. That kind of resilience is unnerving to people who rely on power dynamics. It flips the script, leaving them scrambling to understand someone they can't dominate. This unpredictability often creates enemies. When people can't control you, they fear you. They project their insecurities onto you, labeling you as a threat simply because you refuse to conform. They misinterpret your quiet strength as arrogance, your independence as defiance. But it's not about rebellion. It's about survival. You've already lived through the worst. You're not about to let anyone dictate how you live now. The truth is, society fears what it can't break because it doesn't know what to do with it. It can't place you in a hierarchy, can't make you play by its rules. That freedom, that unshakable sense of self, is the real threat. You don't need their approval. And that scares them more than anything else. A chosen one isn't dangerous because they fight. They're dangerous because they refuse to be controlled. Number 8. Not all chosen ones want redemption. Not every chosen one fits the heroic mold that stories love to romanticize. The world assumes that surviving hell makes you a savior, someone destined to fight for justice or redemption. But that's a lie people tell themselves to make the suffering seem noble. For some chosen ones, the goal isn't to save the world. It's to reclaim their own. Surviving hell doesn't automatically come with a mission to help others. Some carry the kind of pain that doesn't leave room for altruism. They don't fight for glory or for a greater cause. They fight for revenge, for the chance to silence the demons that haunt them, or simply to find peace in a world that offered them none. Survival wasn't about becoming a hero. It was about refusing to let the pain win. And why should they care about redemption? Redemption implies guilt, a debt to be paid. But not every chosen one feels they owe the world anything. In fact, many feel the opposite. They didn't ask for this role, didn't choose the burdens that were forced upon them. If anything, the world should be apologizing to them. Some chosen ones simply want to disappear, to escape the expectations, the judgments, the constant reminder of the battles they've fought. Others want revenge, not because they're cruel, but because they deserve justice. And some just want freedom, to live without the weight of being special or chosen. The world wants heroes. But not everyone who survives hell is interested in playing that role. They didn't come back for applause or redemption. They came back for themselves. To live, to breathe, to be free of the chains that once bound them. And that's enough. Number 9. The myth of rising stronger every time. The myth that every hardship leads to a stronger, more perfect version of yourself, is a story we tell ourselves to make the pain feel worthwhile. It's comforting to think that every struggle builds us up, shaping us into an untouchable force that can weather anything. But the truth is, sometimes survival doesn't come with any shiny upgrade. Sometimes all you get is the simple ability to keep going, even when you feel hollow inside. And that's okay. Strength isn't some flawless transformation. It's not about becoming this superhuman version of yourself, who bounces back better than ever after every knockdown. Strength is about showing up when it would be easier to walk away. It's about waking up and deciding, I'm not done yet. Even when you feel broken, tired, and done with the world, the reality is that after some battles, all you can do is survive. Not to come back stronger, but just to stay in the game. And that's often enough. The obsession with rising stronger every time sets an impossible standard. People expect you to keep getting better after every loss, but that's not how life works. Some days you're stronger than others, and some days you just don't have the energy to pretend. What matters is the persistence to keep moving forward, no matter how small those steps are. You don't have to be better than you were yesterday. Sometimes just making it through today is the most powerful thing you can do. Strength is about endurance, not perfection. It's about refusing to be defined by the pain or the setbacks. And if all you do is survive, that's more than enough. You didn't quit, and that's what makes you strong. Number 10. Break them and you'll meet someone else. When you try to break someone who's already been through hell, you're not going to find the fragility you expect. You won't see them crumble or dissolve in defeat. Instead, you'll see them shift, adapt, and emerge from the wreckage as someone unrecognizable. It's as if the pain, instead of destroying them, transforms them into something even more formidable. They don't shatter. They evolve. And that evolution, it's usually much scarier than what you had in mind. Hell teaches you things no one else can understand. It forces you to learn how to bend without breaking, to face devastation and find a way to keep going. So when someone tries to break you again, they don't know that they're merely pushing you into a new phase. You might appear the same on the outside, but inside, you're different. Stronger, sharper, harder. And the next time you're tested, you're not just surviving. You're thriving in ways you didn't even know were possible. This is what people don't realize. They think they can weaken you by hurting you. But all they're doing is forcing you to redefine yourself, to shed old weaknesses and adapt new strengths. And each time they think they've pushed you to the edge, they're unwittingly creating a version of you that's harder to break. You'll become unpredictable, harder to manipulate, and far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. So go ahead. Try to break them. But what you'll meet on the other side isn't a pile of shattered pieces. It's a force of nature that's learned from its scars and knows how to use them to their advantage. Breaking someone who's been to hell doesn't destroy them. It turns them into something no one can control. And that's the real danger. Chosen doesn't mean rescued. Being chosen to survive hell doesn't mean you've been rescued from it. People like to think that once you've made it through something catastrophic, it's over. They believe that survival equals freedom. But the truth is, hell doesn't always let go just because you've walked out of its flames. Sometimes it follows you, lingering in the corners of your mind, sneaking up on you when you least expect it. It's not always the dramatic, obvious moments where hell shows up. It's in the quiet ones. It's the times when you find yourself staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., haunted by memories you can't shake. It's in the dreams that twist your reality, dragging you back to places you've tried to forget. It's in the way your heart races during moments of calm, because you've learned to never fully trust peace. Hell follows you into your relationships too. People around you don't always understand that the trauma you've survived doesn't just disappear with time. They think you're fine now that you're standing upright. But hell doesn't leave when people stop seeing the scars. It makes itself known in subtle ways. Maybe in how you pull away when things get too close, or how you flinch when someone gets too loud. It shows up as mistrust or a constant, unshakable sense of needing to be on guard. Surviving hell doesn't erase it. It simply means you've learned how to live with it, how to function alongside the scars it left behind. You're not free. You're just learning to carry the weight. And sometimes that weight is heavier than anyone could ever understand. The idea of being rescued is a myth. Hell isn't something you get away from. It's something you learn to live with one day at a time. They don't fear failure. They fear boredom. For those who've survived hell, failure doesn't hold the same weight it does for others. After facing the worst life can throw at you, the idea of failing isn't as daunting as it used to be. Failure is just another lesson, another step, another experience to grow from. It doesn't shake you to the core because you've already seen and felt the depths of what it means to lose, to suffer, and to survive. What truly terrifies you isn't failing, it's staying stuck. The real fear is the possibility of stagnation, of living a life that's nothing but ordinary. After surviving extraordinary pain, the thought of an ordinary life feels suffocating. You've tasted the edges of existence that most people can't even imagine. And now the thought of coasting through life, stuck in routines and shallow victories, feels like the true death sentence. The soul-crushing dread of waking up day after day to a life that doesn't challenge you, doesn't push you, and doesn't make you feel alive is far more terrifying than failure could ever be. The chosen aren't driven by the need to succeed in the traditional sense. They're driven by the need to feel. They want to be pushed to their limits, to experience life with intensity and passion, even if it means facing failure along the way. Stagnation, on the other hand, is the death of that intensity. It's a slow erosion of the very essence that keeps them going. Once you've been to hell, once you've seen the rawness of existence, the mundane becomes unbearable. What's left to fear is not falling short, but the suffocating weight of a life that doesn't inspire, doesn't change, and doesn't demand every ounce of your strength. And that's why, for the chosen, boredom isn't just a state of mind. It's a nightmare. Number 13. The hardest battle is self-acceptance. Surviving hell isn't just about surviving the external chaos. It's about confronting the aftermath. Within the hardest battle, the chosen face is not against the world, but against themselves. Hell changes you in ways you can't fully anticipate. It reshapes your soul, your thoughts, and your very sense of self, leaving you with pieces of who you once were and pieces of someone you don't recognize. The real enemy isn't outside forces. It's the version of yourself you left behind, the person you used to be before the world tried to break you. When you survive hell, you're not the same person who walked into it. Your scars, your pain, your experiences leave marks that alter your perspective and shift your priorities. You look back at the person you once were, and they seem so distant, almost like a stranger. That's the hardest part, the realization that you're no longer who you used to be and you're not quite sure who you've become. This inner battle doesn't always show on the outside. To others, you may look fine, maybe even stronger than before, but inside, there's a constant tug-of-war between who you were and who you've become. Self-acceptance becomes a war in itself, reconciling the parts of you that have been shattered, the parts of you that survived, and the parts you no longer know how to embrace. The world might expect you to keep moving forward, to keep conquering, but the hardest thing is accepting that you've been changed irreversibly and learning to live with the person who emerged from the ashes. That version of yourself, no matter how strong or resilient, is sometimes a ghost, a shadow of what you once were. And the real challenge is not overcoming the world, but learning to accept and love the new person staring back at you in the mirror. Scars and all, surviving hell doesn't come with a simple reward, a neat package, or a clear path forward. It's a raw, transformative experience that reshapes everything about who you are, often in ways that others can't comprehend. The chosen aren't just stronger versions of themselves. They're people who have walked through fire and emerged not as invincible heroes, but as survivors carrying the weight of what they've endured. They don't fear failure. They fear stagnation. They don't crave redemption. They crave the freedom to exist beyond the hell that follows them. They may not have chosen their battles, but they've learned how to survive them, even if it means evolving into something unrecognizable or confronting a version of themselves. They struggle to accept society expects them to be perfect, to come back stronger every time. But the reality is that resilience isn't about never breaking. It's about showing up despite the cracks. In the end, being chosen isn't about heroism. It's about enduring. It's about continuing the fight when everything inside you tells you to stop. It's about living with scars and memories that never truly fade, but learning to keep moving forward, even if that means doing so with a broken heart or a bruised soul. The chosen are dangerous not because they're invincible, but because they've learned how to survive through pain, loss, and all the darkness in between. And that kind of power is unstoppable. If this resonated with you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content like this. Like, comment, and share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear how you connect with this, and if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Let's keep this conversation going and keep pushing forward together. Today, as I look back and reflect on everything we've been through together, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Every step, every moment shared, would not be the same without you here. Thank you for being part of this journey. But I don't want this to be the end, because you and I both know that the best is yet to come. What we've experienced so far was just the beginning of something much bigger, something that will go beyond what we could have imagined. Stay by my side, because the next stage of this adventure will be even more exciting, and you will undoubtedly play a crucial role in it. So, don't say goodbye now. Let's go together, towards what the future holds for us. And remember, the real journey only begins when we believe that we are ready to face what lies ahead. And I know that you are ready. We will see you in the next chapter of this story that is ours alone. Thank you, truly, for being part of it. See you soon.